What's it? Who's there? Put the damn lights back on. Who's there? You shouldn't be here.
To be or not to be?
What?
That is the question.
What?
Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1.
Thank you, Parkinson.
Sir?
Who are you? Put the lights on. Ow! This is black as you get knocker in here.
Well, it is nobler in the mind to suffer.
You're insane.
Well, that's certainly one school of thought. Personally, I don't entirely go along with it. On the other hand, though...
What the hell are you doing?
Obvious, I'd have thought.
Hey!
But I'd be happy to demonstrate some more if you'd like.
No.
There's really no need to be so scared, you know. I've no intention of hitting you. Isn't that right, Parkinson?
Well, it is, sir.
How you gonna tell? Hey!
That shot hit the wall exactly 2 feet and 6 inches to your left.
How'd you know that?
And now I'm pointing the gun directly at your heart. If you duck, I'll know it. If you move, I'll know it.
I'm not gonna move.
Good idea.
Now I want you to walk towards the sound of my voice. Very slowly. Oh, before you start.
What?
It's a tedious detail, but I suppose I should tell you that I know every particular of your sordid little scheme. The Duchess's diamonds have been recovered. Your plot to frame the butler...
No imagination, some people, sir.
...collapsed. And your pathetic assistant is currently enjoying the tea and buns at Scotland Yard.
And you did all that?
Oh, yes, my friend. I did all that. With a little help. Now, over here, if you please. Now, stop. Excellent. Parkinson, the candle.
My God, it's you. I've heard about you.
I'm flattered.
Well, I didn't believe a word of it.
Well, experience is a wonderful teacher. Next time, if you don't want to advertise your position, try stopping your heart beating. It was perfectly audible.
Bloody hell.
There's nothing strange about it. Lose one sense and the others, touch, taste, smell, hearing, improve, with a little dedicated training. My card. Parkinson assures me that the typeface is highly tasteful. You can while away the time in prison by admiring it. Max Carrados, at your service.
The Eyes of Max Carrados by Ernest Brahmer, dramatized by Bert Cools, with Simon Callow as Max Carrados and Lionel Jeffries as Parkinson.
Why did you come to me, Miss Whitmarsh?
I'd heard of your wonderful powers. Shall I tell you how? Does it matter?
Not in the least.
I felt sure that you were the right man.
But?
I really don't know where to start.
And now to the final provision.
About time.
Patience, brother? Not that you've anything to wait for?
You
Gentlemen, please. Thank you. Final provision. And now to the passing on of the ancient Whitmarsh heritage, the lands that have been farmed by our family since the 15th century.
Yes,
to my firstborn son, William Jr. Please, sir. I bequeath exactly half of the family lands and holdings.
Half?
And to my second son, Frank, the same. The 2 new estates to be maintained and run completely independently.
He promised it to me, all of it. This is your doing.
Me? Since when could I change the old man's mind about anything?
The division to be made according to the attached map.
Give me that.
Don't be such a bad loser, Will. The old man always said he'd treat us equally. What's so funny?
Everything. Pa's idea of equality wasn't exactly the same as yours.
Show me. No! Can he do this? Well...
Is there some difficulty?
None in the world. I get all the good farmland. Brother Frank gets the marsh and the scrubs. No difficulty there.
Damn the man. And damn you too. Well, let's see if you're still smiling this time next year.
What do you mean?
Let's see how your precious farmlands cope when they're next door to my mines and my machinery.
You're going to mine the land?
Those coal seams are worth 10 times your wheat fields, brother.
You can't do it.
You can't stop me.
Yes, he can.
What?
Yes, he can.
I thought you'd finished.
Shut up. How can I stop him?
Yes, how?
This is your late father's final stipulation. Neither of you may do anything to exploit his share of the lands, either for minerals or development, without the full and complete consent of the other. He can stop you with a single word.
No.
That was in 1882. Or was it 3? 3, I'm sure.
No.
Father.
I can still see his face.
After nearly 40 years?
It could be 100. Wouldn't make any difference.
Father, why did you hate him so much? He was your brother.
Half brother.
And that's the reason. He had such a terrible life.
In the sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life still to come. Amen.
No!
Uncle William.
Have you inherited your father's stupidity, sir? No, never. Not while I'm alive. Well, what are you all gawping at?
Damn the man to hell and back.
I'm sorry he made you angry.
Can I get you one of these?
What is it?
Whiskey. Seen the old man off in style. Well?
No, thank you.
What's that you got there?
Lemonade.
Good God. How old are you, anyway?
15.
Good God.
What did you say to Daddy?
I asked him for permission to mine my land. My land.
You surely didn't expect him to say yes.
I thought it might be worth a try. Cigarette?
No.
Well, you're perfectly safe. Dear Daddy's taken himself off somewhere. Back to his rolling pastures, most like. Away from the poor peasants. Go on, have one for God's sake. Live a little.
Daddy hated cigarettes. Wouldn't allow them in the house. That was 3 years ago. Now, I have to tell you about last Thursday. Last Thursday.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Frank!
No, so I'm not completely forgotten then.
What do you want, sir?
I've come to see Uncle William.
Was he expecting you, sir?
Hardly.
I'm afraid he's not here.
Where is he?
Out on the estate, sir, with the head keeper.
The head keeper. Out on the estate with the head keeper. I'll wait. Come on. Come on. Damn the man.
Mr. Frank, sir?
I've got better things to do with my time. Tell Uncle William I'll be back this evening.
Oh, can I inform him what your business is, sir?
No, but you can inform him of this. I mean to have things out with him once and for all.
No. No, I don't know why he came. Oh, God. Why did he have to come?
Well, is he here this time?
Yes, sir, but I don't think he'll see you.
You'll see me.
Sir! Sir, please! Oh, Mr. Whitmarsh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Mrs. Lawrence. You may go.
Sir.
Well, come in.
Sounds? Well, yes, of course. Oh, you mean before that? No, not really. It's an old house. The walls are very thick, but not so thick I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear when it happened. Frank was lying just inside the door. Daddy, my father, was slumped across his desk. The gun was at his feet. His head was...
I understand.
I'm so sorry.
Why are you carrying a newspaper, Miss Whitmarsh?
What? I'm sorry?
Two things were immediately apparent as you walked into this room. You're dressed in mourning, and you're carrying a newspaper. I assume that it has something to do with this business.
Yes, it does.
May I have it, please?
But surely...
If you please.
Of course. Yes.
Thank you. This is not a national, the grade of paper.
It's the
Stinbridge Herald.
Mr. Carrados.
Banner headlines are always slightly raised from the page. It's no great feat to feel the letters with one's fingers. So, it's front page news. Mysterious tragedy at Tilling Shore.
That's amazing.
By no means. Beyond the headlines, things do become rather trickier. Suicide follows attempted murder. Attempted murder, Miss Whitmarsh?
Yes. I was just about to tell you.
God save us! God save us! God have mercy! He's alive!
Yes.
Oh, my God. Wait, easy, sir. Don't try to move.
No, I'm all right.
All right. Look. There's no blood. Your father must have missed him.
No, I felt the shot.
Then how in the world?
I don't know. Lord, surely not. Help me to sit up.
Here you are, sir.
Now, let's see.
What's happened to your watch? Mind the glass, sir.
I just want to see if I can open it. Yes. Will you take a look at that?
Heaven defend us. It's a miracle.
Good old watch, eh? Who'd have thought it?
The bullet was inside the works. The back was all dented, but it hadn't gone right through.
A miracle, indeed. Not exactly in my line, you know. Investigating miracles.
Oh, I know, of course. But I also know this, Mr. Carrados. Everyone's saying the same thing. Daddy tried to kill Frank and then shot himself. But how do they know? How can they know?
What does your cousin Frank have to say?
Exactly the same.
Then forgive me for asking, but what reason do you have for suggesting otherwise?
That's the terrible part of it. I knew you'd ask me for proof, and I don't have any, but... Mr. Carrados, I know that my father wouldn't have done this. I know it. I just know it. I have very little money. Only a few pounds. And I'm not a child, Mr. Carrados. I know that clever men require large fees.
Not invariably.
Then you'll help me?
But even clever men need more to work with than you've given me so far.
All the details are in that newspaper story.
I need more than the public facts, Miss Whitmarsh. Can't you give me anything that supports your belief?
Sir, there are things that you can't explain. There are things that you simply know. Please say you'll help my father. Everyone's condemning him, and he can't defend himself. It's so unfair. He couldn't even have had that gun.
What? Do you mean that?
Mean what?
About the gun. Are you saying it wasn't his?
The gun? Oh, no, it was his. He kept it in his desk, but I noticed it was gone that afternoon.
How?
I was dusting.
You were dusting, and you, opened a drawer?
You have to clean them properly. And I saw that the gun wasn't there.
Perhaps your father took it with him.
No, it was there just after he left. I started cleaning as soon as he'd gone, and I saw it then, earlier.
You cleaned the desk twice in the same day.
I was interrupted. I had to stop. Does all this really matter?
How were you interrupted?
By Frank's visit. He wanted to wait in the study, so I had to go. I finished off after he left.
And by then, the gun had disappeared?
Yes.
Miss Whitmarsh, don't you realize what you're saying?
What do you mean? I'm sorry. I'm really not thinking very well just at the moment.
Excuse me. One more question. You are quite certain that you heard 2 gunshots, not one?
Well, yes. There were definitely 2.
You're quite certain?
Oh, yes. Because the second one wasn't nearly so loud as the first.
My dear Miss Whitmarsh.
What?
You rang, sir.
A cab for Miss Whitmarsh, Parkinson.
You're dismissing me?
And the travelling bags for us.
Sir.
You'll come. You'll clear my father's name.
Oh, I'll certainly come. But beyond that, who shall prophesy? Give me the map there.
Sir?
Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom.
Oh, King Lear ain't one seen one.
And 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, unburdened, crawl toward death. Their business ended in tears, too. There's a lesson there, Parkinson.
I shall endeavour to take it to heart, sir.
Evidently not theatre goers, the Whitmarsh family. A suicide who couldn't have had the weapon. A victim who's miraculously preserved by a pocket watch, and 2 shots from the same pistol that differ in volume.
Yes, sir.
I don't suppose you've ever had occasion to fire a gun at a pocket watch, have you, Parkinson?
It's not the sort of task that crops up all that often, sir.
What about before you entered my employ?
Well, the people I associated with back then didn't tend to have them, sir.
Guns?
Pocket watches.
2 shots. The first one loud, the second softer.
If I might be so bold, sir.
1 live bullet and 1 blank.
Exactly, sir.
And a bullet already planted in the watch before the meeting ever took place. Frank shoots William, lets off the blank.
Plants the gun by the dead man's hand.
And has just enough time to take up his position on the floor before the household come a-running.
Was that the young lady, sir?
The young lady is in no state to formulate theories, Parkinson.
No, sir.
And no more am I.
So?
Not yet. It is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't recognize that one.
Some old detective story.
Oh. I never read that.
Parkinson?
Grey stone building. Very plain, very square, 3 stories. Some of the windows have been bricked up. Secret room, sir?
Tax evasion, Parkinson. The more glass you had, the more you paid.
It's got the right sort of atmosphere for a murder.
Now. No one knows the connection between environment and crime. We get murders in brand new suburban villas, merrymaking in moated granges. Sum up the place in 1 word.
Damp, sir.
Ring the bell, Parkinson.
Sir?
Someone's on their way.
Efficient staff they've got.
Those are not the footsteps of a servant. Good evening, Miss Whitmarsh.
How in the world did you know it was me? By my footsteps?
Indeed so. As distinctive as fingerprints and much less messy. How are you?
I'm trying so hard to cope, Mr. Carrados. It's not easy.
You're being extremely brave, Miss Whitmarsh.
Thank you, sir. Won't you come in? Did you find the inn all right?
Oh, yes, thank you, miss. Very comfy.
Good. And did you do as I requested?
I am Mr. Franklin Guildenstern, a distant acquaintance of your late father.
Thank you. I was sorry to have to ask, but, well, this is a small village. There's always talk. You understand?
Of course.
I'm so glad you've come. The police are here.
Indeed? Why?
To collect this.
Is that the gun? Why wasn't it taken away straight after the incident?
May I inquire as to your name, sir?
This is Mr. Franklin Guildenstern.
Guildenstern. Might that be a German name, sir?
Danish. My card.
Danish. And your business here, Mr. Guildenstern?
I had some dealings once with the late Mr. Whitmarsh. I called to pay my respects.
Sergeant Brewster, Stinbridge Constabulary.
Sergeant, you must forgive my curiosity about the gun.
Not at all, sir. Very understandable, I'm sure.
I asked because I was once involved in a similar affair myself.
Were you indeed, sir?
Yes, long time ago, mind you, before my sight failed me. May I see the gun?
Sir?
Just put it into my hand, if you would.
Well, I can't see that it'll do any harm. A bit out of date, but it's in good order. I rather suspect that it's foreign.
Early French. Probably made by no Faucheur.
Is that a fact?
Oh, yes. You have the cartridges?
They're safe, yes, sir.
4 live bullets?
Obviously, sir.
2 having been fired and accounted for, yes, of course. Have you looked for anything else?
Such as what?
I was just wondering if you happened to find a wad of paper lying about anywhere.
What sort of wad of paper, Mr. Guildenstern?
Don't trouble yourself about it, miss. Sir, Mr. Guildenstern, revolver bullets don't have such things. Only a shotgun leaves wads of paper behind after it's fired.
Oh, really? Well, that settles it, of course.
Yes, sir. I rather think it does.
Quickly. We've only a couple of minutes while she shows him out. Is the light good enough?
Oh, yes, sir. Just. There's no wad in sight.
Look behind the furniture.
Oh, right.
If you find it, don't disturb it.
Nothing? No. Hang on. Yeah. Behind the couch. Behind the couch, sir. Right up against the wall.
Very good. Bring it here, please.
Sir? There you are.
Excellent. Now, thin paper. Glossy here, but not here. One edge more ragged than the rest. Yes. What do you make of it, Parkinson?
Cigarette paper, sir.
Yes, but with 2 distinct textures.
Stripped down one edge is smoother than the rest, yes, sir. Odd colour, too, amber.
Is it blackened at all? Charred?
It is, sir. Burned brown in places.
And what is the ceiling made of?
Oak board, sir, with heavy cross beams.
Indeed. Are there any plaster figures in the room?
No, sir.
Or anything that's whitewashed?
No, sir.
Thank you. This is a fascinating piece of paper, Parkinson.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry I had to leave you. Mrs. Lawrence is out.
Oh, don't mention it, miss.
We've not been idle. I came from London to pick up a scrap of paper lying on the floor of this room. Well, here it is.
The paper what?
Exactly.
But the sergeant said only shotguns leave these behind.
If you're firing live bullets, that's quite correct.
I don't understand. What other sort of bullets are there?
Blank ones, miss. Just a charge of powder and a bit of paper to keep it in place. All you get is a bang.
But not as loud as the real thing.
But that's what I heard. That's what we all heard. Mr. Carrados, you've proved it.
Proved what?
Well, you proved that only one real shot was fired. And that Frank must have... Well, he must have... Oh, I don't know.
Then I shall tell you. I'm afraid that all I've proved is that behind your couch we found a small packet of singed paper.
But surely...
Afraid not, miss. That's the only thing that'd stand up in court.
I was so pleased. Now I'm really disappointed.
Perhaps better now than later. Does your cousin Frank smoke cigarettes?
I don't know.
You don't meet him socially?
No.
Or go to his estate?
No, certainly not. Daddy never allowed it.
So he was essentially a stranger to you?
Yes. Yes, I've told you. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. My nerves have completely gone to pieces.
A common experience in such circumstances. Are you up to answering one more question? Then we'll leave you for tonight.
I'll try. You must think me very weak and stupid.
By no means.
Thank you. What's the question?
Now that your father is dead, what happens to the mining agreement? Does the power of consent descend to you?
No, not to me. To my brother. He's abroad, Canada. The police have sent word.
And will your brother allow Frank to mine his land?
I think he will allow the mining, yes.
And your cousin Frank would have known this?
I said I hardly know him, but I suppose he might. Yes, he might.
Indeed.
Mr. Carrados.
Yes?
The inquest is on Monday. I hope so much you'd be able to...
Vindicate your father?
Yes.
The verdict of a coroner's jury means nothing, Miss Whitmarsh. It's the merest formality.
Oh, not to me. If they say that my father's guilty, I'll never be able to raise my head again.
Good night to you, Miss Whitmarsh. We shall meet again tomorrow.
Good night, Mr. Carrados. I owe you so much. More than I can ever say. You've been so wonderfully kind.
Good night. A strange case. Instructive.
Yes, sir.
But I more than half wish I'd never heard of it.
The young lady seems very grateful, sir.
Parkinson, the young lady is the case. Stop the car, please.
Sir?
I believe we're on the fringes of the outbuildings. Is that correct?
Spot on, sir.
Is there light enough to see?
I got the torch, sir.
No, that's too risky. How's the moon?
Almost full, not a cloud in the sky.
Excellent.
If you'll pardon my asking, sir, but what are we looking for?
Whitewash. Well?
Pitch black, sir.
No moonlight getting in?
None.
Then we can safely assume that no torchlight will get out.
Very good, sir. Oh. Looks like a disused barn.
Excellent. Now, just one moment. That wall.
Sir?
What color is it?
White, sir.
Yes. Ah. We don't have to look any further.
Oh, I didn't think it would be as bad as this.
He got the poorer half of the estate, remember?
Oh, begging your pardon, sir, this isn't just poor land. This is close to a desert.
The land's been starved. Did you read that piece in the local paper?
I did, sir.
What about between the lines?
Old Frank drank himself to death, you mean?
Exactly. The thirsty owner and the hungry lamb. They couldn't both be fed. Is there anyone around?
No, sir.
Then we'll announce ourselves at the house.
Shut that noise! Shut up!
Is Mr. Frank Whitmarsh at home?
What is it? Oh. Morning.
Good morning.
Do I know you?
No, you don't. But I'm staying at the Bridge Inn, and I heard about your wonderful escape from death last Thursday. I've taken the liberty of coming to congratulate you on it.
Oh. Well, you better come in. You'll find us a bit rough, I'm afraid. We weren't expecting visitors.
And I hesitated to come, because I thought you'd be surrounded by troops of friends.
Shut up, Mother. Don't take any notice of her. Fact is, we Whitmarshes aren't too popular in these parts. And taken as the boiling, the Whitmarshes deserve it. It's good of you to call, Mr.
Rosencrantz. William Rosencrantz. My card.
Thank you.
And this is Parkinson, my man.
Sir? Madam?
Yeah.
Well, Providence certainly seems to be on your side just now, Mr. Whitmarsh. May I offer you a cigarette?
Oh, thanks. I don't mind for once in a way.
They're Turkish, quite innocuous.
Oh, no, it isn't that. I have to be careful of the paper. Some sort of allergy. It can affect my lips.
Sir?
Thanks.
Allergic to cigarette paper? Do you know I've never come across such a thing? No cure?
It's no great problem. I make my own, with special paper.
Good for you. Might I try one?
Sure. Here.
You'll have to put it into my hand, I'm afraid.
Oh, yes, of course. Here.
Thank you. Interesting. Amber-coloured paper.
How the devil do you know that?
Sir?
Thank you. Damnably refreshing. You know, Mr. Whitmarsh, this business of yours caused quite a stir in London.
Is that a fact?
Oh, yes.
And what exactly are they saying?
Well, the main interest seems to be what you're going to testify at the inquest as to the cause of the quarrel.
What did I tell you?
Be quiet, Mother. There's no mystery to that, Mr. Rosencrantz. There's a lake between the two estates. We've been arguing for years over who owns the duck shooting rights.
Duck shooting?
Yes.
Frankly, it hardly seems a good enough reason to cause such a climax.
What did I say? Didn't I say they'd never believe it?
That's because you didn't know, dear Uncle William. Listen. I'll give you a good idea just what he was like.
Well, I've agreed to this meeting. Don't waste my time.
I've not come to waste your time, Uncle.
Then get on with it.
At least have the courtesy to look at me, sir.
I agree to listen to you, sir, no more.
Right. You know perfectly well that you don't need the income from the duck shoots. But, well, look, it could be make or break for me.
Put that damn cigarette out!
What?
Put it out, sir! Put it out now, this instant!
All right. I'm sorry. There. It's gone. Now, may I continue?
Think yourself lucky I don't have you thrown out on your ear, damn filthy habit. Well, go on, get on with it.
This was last Thursday. The fatal meeting.
Yes. How does it strike you for one of your own family, eh?
Unreasonable. You didn't try to argue the point.
I just threw the thing into the grate.
Probably the wisest course. I say, you're not suggesting that he shot at you over a cigarette, surely?
No. Mind you, it was a close-run thing. You didn't see him. Sorry.
Not a bit of it. So, it was this row over the shooting rights that led him to it.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that was it.
And why did he shoot himself?
He thought he'd killed me.
Ah, so the force of the bullet knocked you down, did it?
Yes, exactly. Well, he was a proud man, my uncle. I suppose he saw what he'd done, realised that he'd be hanged for it.
And took the easy way out. Yes, that certainly seems reasonable enough. Might I handle the famous watch?
Of course. Excuse me. I've knocked out the broken glass, so you'll be all right. Here.
Thank you. Oh, the hands are gone.
Yes.
But the shaft is still there. How exceedingly interesting. Well, I must thank you, Mr. Whitmarsh. You too, ma'am. Quite a story.
Any time, Mr. Rosencrantz.
Think you'll get off?
Mother.
What did you say?
Do you think you'll get off?
She has this crazy idea that the inquest is a trial and it's going to be me in the dock.
Has she indeed?
Frankly, she's not altogether right, if you understand me. Isn't that true, Mother?
There's nothing wrong with me. Well, do you think he'll get off?
I don't see any reason to anticipate trouble. Unless, of course, some clever lawyer is brought in. If he could suggest that there was more to the quarrel than there really was.
Lawyers. They can make you say anything.
No, they can't. Not me. Besides, who's going to call in a lawyer?
The family of the dead man.
His son's abroad, can't get back in time.
I'd heard there was a daughter.
Little Missy Madeline. That's the last thing she'd want.
Mr. Carrados.
Miss Whitmarsh.
Where is Parkinson?
Waiting outside.
Oh. Do you have some news?
Only this. There's nothing to be done. I'm returning to town tonight.
Oh, but I thought it...
Your cousin did not steal the gun when he was here on Thursday. He did not fire a bullet into his own watch. He did not deliberately shoot your father and then fire off a blank charge.
Mr. Carrados.
The whole fabric, so delicately suggested by inference and innuendo, falls to pieces.
Then you desert me.
I've seen the watch that saved Frank Whitmarsh's life. If you accuse him of murder, it would save his life again. The shots were fired at 9:10 precisely.
How do you know that?
You told me. Or to be strictly accurate, you told the Admirable Sergeant Brewster, who in turn told the Stinbridge Herald, which you were kind enough to give to me.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
9:10 precisely. You said so, the housekeeper said so, the entire staff said so. And Frank Whitmarsh's watch was stopped at that exact time.
I thought the hands were missing.
So they are, but the shaft remains. The hands fit in one position and one only.
Well, he could have altered the time afterwards.
The bullet that shattered the works also froze them solid. Fate can be curiously systematic, Miss Whitmarsh.
I don't understand.
It isn't hard. The story that everybody believes is the true story. Your father shot Frank Whitmarsh, and the bullet was stopped by his watch.
No.
And then your father turned his gun on himself.
You can't be sure.
Yes, I can. Because of this.
The paper wad?
The paper wad, so carefully fashioned from one of Frank Whitmarsh's unique cigarette papers. The paper wad retrieved from the old barn where the blank charge was fired against the whitewashed wall. The paper wad planted in the study for me to find. The paper wad fashioned, fired, retrieved, and planted by you, Miss Whitmarsh.
I was a fool to set my cleverness against yours.
Yes, you were. But I congratulate you on the speed of your thinking. You must have worked fast once you found Frank's discarded cigarette in the grate.
Yes, I worked fast. And it was all useless. And now I suppose you're going to hand me over to justice. Well, why don't you say something?
Justice. Do you know, people frequently put me into this embarrassing position.
Do they really?
A number of years ago, a large and stately building was set up in London, and it had a beautiful name, the Royal Palace of Justice. But very soon, people got into the habit of calling it the Law Courts. Today, if you ask a Londoner to direct you to the Palace of Justice, he sets you down as a religious maniac. You see my difficulty. If I'd been successful in doing what you wanted, Frank Whitmarsh would have gone to the gallows.
Yes.
He didn't kill your father.
Not according to your law courts, maybe.
But what of the Palace of Justice?
When I told you I hardly knew Frank, that was a lie.
Yes, I know.
Of course you do.
You certainly developed a taste for those. Costed me a fortune, you know.
We met at his father's funeral. I hadn't seen Frank since I was a child. I thought he was... Well, it seemed a very romantic thing to meet him in secret. It was like Romeo and Juliet. We used to put letters for each other in special hiding places. No.
Come on, all right.
And then I found out. Or it was gradually at first, but then more and more. No. No. And finally, one night I knew. With a sort of terrible certainty.
No!
Little bitch! Little bitch! Little bitch.
I knew that my ideas of romance weren't the same as his. I believe it's called a lucky escape.
I think you should tell me the rest.
You see? I was right. You are very clever. Frank left me alone after that. Until a few months ago. He came here when Daddy was out. And he showed me a packet of papers.
Your letters to him?
Yes. Oh, they were innocent and childish, and they meant nothing, but he did something horrible. He read out parts...
And made them sound very far from innocent.
He said that other people would take them the same way. Other people. I would have been ruined.
Blackmail. What was his price for the letters?
At first he said he wanted to marry me.
In order to inherit the rich half of the estate?
That's what I thought. I don't think it was me he was interested in.
You said, at first.
Last Thursday, when he came here, he had a different idea.
You heard me. Why should I have to wait around for the old fool to drop dead? I've got a fortune just waiting to be dug up. All I need is Daddy's say-so. And these ought to persuade him, don't you think?
You can't.
And who's going to stop me?
That was the real reason for the row. For everything. Frank must have read out the letters and proposed a bargain. And Daddy, who was a proud and honourable man, shot him, or so he thought. Then in shame and despair at what he'd done, he took his own life. So don't you dare tell me that Frank Whitmarsh isn't responsible for my father's death.
Does Frank still have the letters?
Oh, yes. To hold over my head for the rest of my life. No, Mr. Carrados. You were to be my judge.
Your mission?
Successfully carried out, sir.
No problems?
Hardly, sir.
Of course not. Sorry.
Sir.
Very good. Now you can make the delivery. And then home.
Sir.
And Parkinson.
Sir.
Well done.
The morning's post.
Anything interesting?
Usual range, couple of invitations, note from the yard, and one from Tillingshaw, sir.
That one first, I think.
Sir. Dear Mr. Carrados.
Some time after you left me last Sunday evening, a man came to the door. He was a large man and powerful, and he kept his face hidden behind his scarf, but curiously I wasn't in the least afraid of him. He put a packet into my hands and left without saying a word. It was a warm night, as you may recall, but it was a fine and cheering fire I lit in my father's study that evening. I wonder who else in the world would have done so much for a forlorn creature who just flashed across a few days of his busy life. I wonder who else could. Your compassion, your forgiveness have taught me so much. Thank you for saving me from my own folly. Thank you for saving me
from my blindness.
Thank you, Parkinson. And the rest of the post?
In The Eyes of Max Carrados by Ernest Brahmer, Simon Callow was Max Carrados and Lionel Jeffries Parkinson. Madeline was played by Teresa Gallagher, William by Matthew Marsh, and both Franks by Philip Glenister. Marion Morley was Mrs. Lawrence and Mrs. Whitmarsh, Michael Bynt, the policeman and the lawyer, and David Bannerman, the vicar and the villain. The music was composed by Robert Rigby. The story was dramatised for radio by Bert Coules. The producers were Stuart Richards and Michael Cameron, and the director was Alan Drury. The Eyes of Max Carrados was a Mr. Punch production.